Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Spurs Dive. That was a bit of a weird intro, I cannot lie. It was not supposed to sound like that, but we are joined by Manny. Welcome to the channel, Manny. First time on, new show, Debate Derby. How are you feeling, Manny? How are you today?
I'd be a little bit better if it weren't for, our shambolic transfer activity, of which we're going to talk a lot more. And also our performances have so far been up and down this season. But listen, Arsenal doesn't get me down in any case. This weekend is international break. I get to see England play. Obviously, we'll be crushing Zinchenko's army and then having the friendly
Yes.
against the old enemy. And, growing up, I actually enjoyed watching international football a lot more than club football. My best memory, of course, was watching England and Italia 90 all those years ago. So for me, it's always international over club football, but I do enjoy watching club football too. So in a nutshell, I'm okay. Can't really complain. Just had some grub and I feel nourished, as it were. So let's get down to it.
Well, guys, so we are going to get into the first episode of Debate Derby. Make sure to subscribe to Spurs Live. We just hit 1.2k, absolutely smashing it. And obviously, go to Manny's socials. Their link is in the description. So, Manny, let's first of all start off with some signings that our clubs have made. I want to first of all talk about a couple of Arsenal signings. So let's start with a bit of a neutral, obviously not positive one, not a negative one in terms of how they're playing right now. Let's talk about David Raya, a very vocal type of signing that has been going around, a lot in the group chats that you and I are on. Obviously. He is a goalkeeper from Brentford. You guys signed him for how much was it? I'm not too sure how much it. Oh, it was a loan. I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah, it's a loan fee with an initial fee of about 3 million bob, and we have an option to buy him for about a total of 27 to 30 million at the
Yeah.
end. And yeah, but ask your question, please.
Yeah, so 30 mil. I was gonna say around 30 mil. What are your thoughts on David Raya? Because the way I see it, I think he's a brilliant player. I think overall he really is a massive competition for Aaron Ramsdale. What are your thoughts on the signing of David Raya?
Well, obviously we needed to make sure we got ourselves a good backup goalkeeper with the decision to sell Matt Turner to Nottingham Forest. And I'm one of a few people who actually believe that the American wasn't given a fair chance. Because when you
Mm,
take a look at some of his performances for the USA in the World Cup, and especially when he played for us in the Europa League group stages, I thought he actually exuded a lot of the qualities that I remember watching in some of the best Arsenal goalkeepers of days gone by. Obviously, I grew up watching David Seaman and then Jens Lehmann, but Seaman was the type of
yeah,
goalkeeper who would command his box well and claim his crosses confidently. And one of the biggest bugbears I have with Aaron Ramsdale is that every time he comes for a cross, he sort of flaps at it and doesn't really convince. And if you take a look on Twitter, you'll probably see that one of the more popular memes of him will be whenever, just before a corner's taken, he's sort of stand in his box and do those moves, right? They wouldn't
correct.
be different from the Indian Bhangra style moves. And so one of the more popular memes would be of him doing that dance move, as it were, to the tune of some of the latest Punjabi hit music. But with Raya, I think from what I saw of him at Brentford, he was certainly an excellent shot stopper, and he certainly was a no-nonsense sort of goalkeeper who didn't engage in any of these, theatrics or histrionics. I'd say decent on crosses. My biggest fear is that being a little bit shorter than Ramsdale, I didn't know
Yeah.
how he would necessarily be on crosses, but he seems to be a very compact and more than competent goalkeeper in his own way. And you know, for him to give up being first choice at Brentford to come over to Arsenal, where we would be playing, I mean, he'd certainly be playing in Europe and other cup competitions and be a part of a big team. I suppose in some ways it was an offer that he or the club just couldn't turn down. I think in many ways the fact that it was a loan deal is probably a bit of a Mickey take, as it were. And I think
Yeah.
I know one Brentford fan who still feels a little bit cheesed off at the whole affair, but Arsenal obviously wanted to have the penny in the bun by getting him on loan because, for better or worse, and I would say for worse, Arteta sees Ramsdale as the main number one. But by getting
Yeah.
Raya in for competition, he at least sends a message that he's serious about, giving Ramsdale the competition that he needs, because he did slack off horribly during the run-in for last season and did cost us a lot of goals and points as we bottled our league campaign. And having someone to compete with him would always be quite good. It'll keep him on his toes and make him realize, yeah, he can't afford to just, keep mucking around, and he has to take things seriously. And that's another reason why I'm not too fond of him, is because sometimes he just doesn't take things seriously enough. When we had Emi Martinez, he was a guy who absolutely, loved the club, and in the opportunities that he got in the 2020 season, where he helped us recover to finish 8th and also win that FA Cup, Arteta's first and so far only piece of silverware, he was outstanding. He was everything that I saw in David Seaman. He was everything that I wanted, in a goalkeeper. He was everything that Bernd Leno could never be, and I wanted him to stay and be our number one next season, but he ended up leaving, and we all know what happened to him. But back to Raya, he will certainly compete with Ramsdale, but also make it crystal clear that he is breathing down his neck. The only issue I have here is, and this is the thing, if we, by not signing him on a permanent deal, Arteta probably didn't made it clear that he didn't want to unsettle Ramsdale in any way. So the idea is that you get Raya on loan and possibly see it fit to, throw him in for a few games here and there. Just hope that Ramsdale doesn't suffer a bad loss of form. And in the worst case scenario, if Raya doesn't play enough or doesn't have a good time, he goes back to Brentford. No questions asked, no harm, no foul, no hard feelings. But if he does get to play, in case Ramsdale gets an injury, and we end up liking what we see, we buy him and potentially make him our number one. But the way Arteta handled Matt Ryan in 2020, 2021, I just don't know if I have the confidence in him to be willing to be ruthless enough to drop Aaron Ramsdale, because, it's a case of history repeating itself. That season also we got Willian Borges from Chelsea, who was an absolute disaster. And, we've got another transfer this season whom you'll be talking about. I'm not going to talk about him yet. I just think that with Arteta, he isn't willing to learn from his mistakes, and it's a case of him repeating the same cycle. And that's what really angers me.
I think that's the most important thing, though. If he doesn't learn from his mistakes, then progressing is going to be a very, very difficult bit. And by the way, I am going to ask you a couple of questions on Arteta later. But so sorry, what were you saying about Ramsdale?
He just doesn't seem to have the seriousness to be willing to work on his game and improve his game and cut out his mistakes. If he shows me that he's willing to, take it seriously and improve himself, and if he's able to, really knuckle down and leave an impact in terms of winning silverware, I'll warm to him and say, you know what, he's improved. I'll give him his credit. But until then, he has to do a lot more to try and convince me. And I just don't know if Arteta is really willing to be that ruthless enough to drop Aaron Ramsdale, but only time will tell. Since Ramsdale has looked a bit shaky in the first few games, but against Manchester United, he didn't really put a foot wrong, do much wrong anyway, and it seems to be working. But it is going to be interesting to see once we start playing in Europe again, the Champions League again, that is, if Raya will be given a chance to play so that Ramsdale can be rested for the weekend games. And normally that doesn't necessarily happen. But it will be interesting to see if he does get a bigger role to play. All we can do is speculate, and speculation doesn't really help. But I like Raya. I mean, he's certainly not necessarily my ideal goalkeeper. He's not very tall, and I certainly don't rate him enough to be one of the top 2 goalkeepers in the league. Those go to Emi Martinez and Alisson Becker, respectively. But I do like him. He's no nonsense. He's quite efficient. Didn't really make any huge mistakes with Brentford last season or the season before, and I think he if he gets a chance to play, he'll do well for us. But
He
hopefully
has to do well.
he should.
No, I'm
Yeah.
saying in my opinion, I think the thing with David Raya and Ramsdale, I personally rate David Raya more than Aaron Ramsdale. I think Aaron Ramsdale's a brilliant keeper. I think he is very, very good. But there are a lot of question marks with him. The distribution that I keep on saying, I think the distribution versus United got you caught out in that midfield, and then let Bruno and Rashford come forward every single time. Ramsdale kicked the ball. It didn't look very composed. I also don't. I don't really like the whole saving and then making a whole big fuss about it. Same thing with Vicario. We'll get to him in a second. So in my opinion, I think David Raya, as soon as he gets that opportunity to fight or to hit that first place in the team and become Arsenal's number one, he has to take it. In my opinion, I think it's a brilliant, brilliant signing from Mueller, and I'm gutted that we didn't get him, but I have full faith in Vicario. Now, look, moving on to the Tottenham Hotspur signing. Now, if we did goalkeeper from Arsenal, let's talk a little bit about Vicario. Tottenham Hotspur's new goalkeeper, very, very new to Premier League. Now, our first couple games pre-season looked extremely shaky. Did not look confident at all. Coming into his first game, really as well, didn't look great. But now, second, third, fourth game already in, and he's looking fantastic. I've got to add that he has to get used to he's got to get used to this back line that we've got, because it is a very high back line. Therefore, the keeper has to be ready to come out or to stay in the goal, and I think Vicario is going to be doing it. But the thing that I didn't rate about Ramsdale, and I'm not rating it with Vicario, and I don't like this, is that a simple save needs to be a simple save. No need to overreact with a simple save. And I think something that I'm very negative about with Vicario is that he's too reactive. He celebrates every save like it's a goal, and some people like that, some people don't like it. I personally don't like it. I feel like it puts you in a mind where you've done something amazing when really no, you've just done your job. Your job is to save a ball. Just like if Madison, or if just like, let's say from your team, let's say Saka, if he passed the ball to, let's say, Partey, and he goes celebrates that pass, that's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be, on your game. That's your job. So I feel like with Vicario, that's what he does a bit too much. Celebrates his own little saves, but overall, can't complain. Very early though, so I'm not. There 100% will be mistakes, and he will be caught out at some point, and we will see his weaknesses at some point. But I feel like he's a very, very good goalkeeper, and just interested in, and need to be cautious for the future. What are your thoughts on Vicario? Obviously, Tottenham's new goalkeeper. He's new from, I think it was Atalanta. What was the team called? Empoli from Italy. What are your thoughts on Vicario?
All I can say right now is that with Vicario and your team, you are living vicariously, as it were. You see the play on words with the spelling of his name. And yeah, I actually did see him play against Manchester United. And I know that United aren't exactly, the dominating team of old, but as long as they've got the likes of Rashford in the team, they're always going to be, a threat. Don't forget the likes of Garnacho and others. And some of the saves he made were quite good. And you know what? This is the thing with a lot of these younger goalkeepers. They are a little bit, emotional. They can be a bit reactionary, and they do celebrate, some saves they make. But that is the thing. Like, you've got to learn to keep yourself focused. You've got to keep calm. And one of the reasons why I'm always going to take a look at Seaman as one of my goalkeeping idols was that, even after he made a save, he never made a big, deal about it. He was always very focused. He kept his mind on his job, because, the moment you drop your guard and the moment you think you're on top of the world, you can be tripped up and fall down on your backside, and that is not really a nice feeling. And back in the day when I watched Seaman, I also remember a goalkeeper named Erik Torstvedt, who was a Norwegian legend who played nearly 100 times for his country and was also the goalkeeper when you lot won the FA Cup in 1991. And I think he was probably the best Tottenham goalkeeper that I remember seeing at the time, because some of the others I remember seeing at that time weren't really,
onto his
worth.
standards.
You could say that, yes. And I do remember seeing the likes of Neil Sullivan, who was decent, coming and play. Casey Keller was quite outstanding, in my opinion. Brad Friedel came in later.
Yeah,
You also got Carlo Cudicini, who, quite frankly, I think his best days were at Chelsea, and he wasted his talent, really, at Stamford Bridge. But, just going back, you want to have a goalkeeper who is a lot more focused. And with these younger goalkeepers, we will have to accept that they see it fit to react the way they do, and sometimes for me it drives me up the wall. And
yeah,
you make a save, well done, son, but just keep your focus. And once the game is over, you can celebrate however the hell you like.
yeah.
And there was also a scene from the All or Nothing documentary. I call it
Documentary. Yeah,
All for Nothing because we ended up not really getting top four. In fact, that was the season when you pipped us to the post under Antonio
just
Conte.
about there. Yeah,
Yep, and of course you creamed us 3-0 at the Tottenham Stadium.
Tottenham
Well
Stadium.
deserved, I must say. Um, but there was a scene when he actually made his league debut for Arsenal, and he was denied a clean sheet. But instead of being happy with the win, he ended up, mouthing off at one of his defenders, saying, "How you cost me my clean sheet? To heck with you," or something like that. You can see the
Yeah,
documentary, and you'll find out more. And I'm thinking, you look at that scene, you think to yourself, "What's wrong with you? Your team's just won. You played your first game. Why can't you be happy with the win instead of being angry about your clean sheet?" And a lot of people will say that's an example of an elite mindset. But I'll tell you what, you need to make sure that you earn a reputation in the game and actually earn some success in the game, and then you can develop that sort of a mentality. It's what Peter Schmeichel did. It's what David Seaman did. Even though Seaman was never one to, mouth off at his defenders, he'd command his defense brilliantly, but he would never, slag them off
he
or
had he had the
mouth off
respect
at
though.
them.
He had the respect from the dressing room.
Exactly. You've got to earn that respect. You've
Hmm.
got to improve your standards and earn that respect, and then you can demand respect. Then you can demand more from other people, and that is something which Ramsdale never really learned. And I don't like it when people do that, because it gives me the impression that you only care about your own personal highlights reel and not the success of the team, and that is something that I can't abide by. So he also has a lot of technical deficiencies, does Ramsdale. As for Vicario, from what I saw of him, he's certainly a fine shot stopper, and I don't think he put a foot wrong against Manchester United. And he certainly, from what I can tell, grown into the game quite a bit. But
Yeah.
there will be some moments where he has to keep his focus, I would say. I'd sort of put him at least marginally above Ramsdale, but I think we can both agree that these two young goalkeepers need to just improve their focus and start concentrating a lot more and keep developing more. And when they do that, they should grow up to be fine goalkeepers. But until then, I'm not going to be one of those people who will, hail Ramsdale as the best thing since sliced bread, because that's just
Yeah.
ridiculous, really. And in the same way, it just what Vicario's performances now should mean that more will be expected of him, and I think Postecoglou will expect a lot more of him. So he looks to be a good signing for you lot. I mean, replacing Hugo Lloris won't be an easy task. And what surprises me is that he rejected a move away.
That
So
was
I
bizarre.
wonder, yeah. So I wonder. I don't think he's going to be in Postecoglou's plans. So what
No, he won't.
exactly he's going to do, I have no idea.
I think when you talk about goalkeepers, obviously we both have a top goalkeepers right now. I mean, they're young, but they're top. Like they're good. They're very good. I think Vicario is a little bit too quick onto the scene at Tottenham right now, so we shouldn't get too much ahead of ourselves. But I'm
Exactly.
not gonna go. I'm not gonna go into every single details, every single signing. But I want to talk about one particular signing from you lot, and I think it will obviously be the exact same thing towards us. The signing of the summer from a Arsenal point of view. Um, Declan Rice. Now, I am a Tottenham fan, diehard Tottenham fan, but I know it's gonna sound like I like your players, but it's true. I really like Declan Rice. I think I think he's a magnificent player. the under the underappreciated fans from La Liga, Serie A. A lot of my friends who are Italian and Spanish, they don't rate Declan Rice, and I'm like, I personally rate Declan Rice so highly. I think him coming to Arsenal is perfect. It's unbelievable. I don't think Xhaka should have left, but that's just my opinion. Um, Declan Rice, though, let's talk about him. I mean, England international, potential England captain, um, absolutely outstanding central defensive midfielder, scored his first goal for the club against Man United, which was a controversial win. Now, what are your thoughts on Declan Rice as a new Arsenal player?
Look, when it comes to talking about him, one joke which sort of runs around is that Rice is a little bit undercooked. And that means that he hasn't really been able to sort of get into the game. Certainly looked the case
Yeah,
in the first two or three, but I take my hat off to him. He picked the right occasion to come in, and he certainly did his job quite well. And that goal was a well-taken piece of opportunism. It must be said, though, that had it not been for Johnny Evans, that wouldn't have even gone anywhere
yeah,
towards the
the
goal.
goal. Yeah,
Um, so, there was a little bit of fortune involved. And again, we have to say in many ways that as good value as we were for the win in its entirety, we were lucky in many, many ways. But Rice actually looked really, really good in that game. Definitely our man of the match. And he's taken to playing for Arsenal like a duck to water. The biggest issue that I had, though, was with the fact that we paid, through the nose for him, quite literally. And there's still a part of me that thinks that Manchester City pretty much pulled, a fast one on us in a way by saying, you know what, if you want him, you can fall over yourselves trying to pay that much money for him. We might be losing Ilkay Gundogan, but we're going to get Mateo Kovacic and some other players, and we're still going to cook you when we come to play you in about a month's time from now. And so I told myself, we paid a lot of money for this bloke, and he has to, deliver. And it will take a bit of time, but I think one of the nicest things I can say about him is that he does move very well, and he certainly, is willing to commit himself to those tackles and have the vision to sort of keep the play moving. And it was just as well that he did that because with another signing, not really doing too well for several reasons, we were effectively playing with 10 men in that team, 9
yeah.
outfielders and 1 goalkeeper. So Rice and Odegaard were keeping the midfield moving, and he certainly played his part. And of course, with Thomas Partey injured, we now have a bit of a conundrum because what formation can we possibly use? And
Hmm.
I always say that our best formation would be a 4-2-3-1 with him and Thomas Partey as the 2 defensive midfielders in front of the back 4, with 3 attacking midfielders, that is Saka, Martinelli, and the number 10, Odegaard, and then a striker, Gabriel Jesus, who came on as a sub and scored the winner. You could say the
Brilliant goal. Yeah,
Messiah has...
brilliant goal.
Yeah, you could say the Messiah has returned. So back to Rice. With Partey injured, do we go back to the 4-2-3-1 and play Zinchenko at left back and perhaps some Jorginho in that defensive midfield? Probably not, because Jorginho, I think he can definitely do a job as an impact player from the bench. But and when I say impact, I mean he sort of, tightens up the game, slows it down a bit, and doesn't allow anything to
Get past.
really take shape or get past him. But I don't think he has the stamina to start games. Although if he does get to start in the Champions League, we will find out if he still has that ability. He is, of course, out of contract at the end of the season. We do have an option to have him for another year. We'll see how that works. So
Hmm.
Rice, I think he's taken to the club well. He started well now, and this performance will give him a great deal of confidence. But again, I just worry that when it comes to the bigger teams who have some really big, strong players and strong characters themselves, they might find him out and just find a way to overrun him or overpower him. Now, of course, when we played West Ham at the Berlin ground, not the Berlin ground, it was the London
The
Stadium, I think.
the London
Yeah,
Stadium.
the London,
Yes.
the London Stadium last season. He dominated Thomas Partey, and
Mhm.
was a very key component of that midfield as they drew against us 2-2. And that was a huge setback in our quest for the title. So obviously, Arteta was eager to try and get him in, and it seemed to work quite well. I certainly wouldn't rate him as a world-class defensive midfielder just yet. I'd like to see him certainly play more big games and play more of these big European games and see how well he does, and then maybe we can consider that. He's still going to be in the plans of Gareth Southgate, and that's going to be something that he'll have in his favour. Certainly a potential Arsenal captain if he stays long enough, although a certain Mr. Odegaard has firm position of the armband, at least for now. But
Correct.
yeah, it's looking promising. It's looking promising. Still early days, but I'm okay so far.
It's like you said just now. You literally just said now. Early days. It's all early days. I mean, Declan Rice, the early days. He could be he could do rubbish. You got Vicario. He could do absolutely rubbish. You got who else have we just said? You got Ramsdale. Well, Ramsdale's a bit different. You've got David Raya. He could be insane. You don't know. You really don't know right now. And I think when we're only four matches into the season, we can already tell who's more likely gonna be an important figure in our teams. You look at the likes of Tottenham Hotspur. Obviously, you've got Basuma, who's a very important player. You've got Sonny, who's a very important player. You've got Arsenal. You've got Declan Rice, who's an extremely important player. Saka, Odegaard. Now, I mean, a little bit of a different player now, which is a summer signing for Tottenham Hotspur, which is James Maddison. Now, I
Mm.
am surprised that not more teams didn't go in for him. I mean, it was absolutely mental. That what a bargain we got him. We got him at 40 mil plus 10 mil to us for Harry Winks. 2 goals. No, sorry. Well, 1 goal and 2 assists in 4 matches. He has been exceptional for us. I think he has been exactly what we needed in terms of that Ericsson replacement. Hate using that word because it's a bit more. We've just gone past it now. So we're past Ericsson. Harry Kane's moved on. Um, Manu, what do you think of James Maddison? Are you scared of him when we face you guys in about a month's time? Because James Maddison is that type of player that can potentially break that line between Declan Rice, that midfield area, to like Saliba, that defensive area. What are you scared a bit about James Maddison? And what are your thoughts on the
Mate,
signing?
let me tell you, when we played against Leicester twice last season, I believe the
Yeah,
first time was at the Emirates. He was easily their best player on both occasions, and I believe he scored against us at the Emirates, if memory serves me right. I've rated the guy. I mean, he's certainly a harder worker than Yuri Tillemans, who's gone to Aston Villa.
hmm
And he's certainly the type of person who can be trusted to try and make things happen for his team. And that's how it's proved. And we should have gone in for him. We could have gone in for him. But the biggest problem was if we had signed him, would we have started him? And the position in which he plays is currently being occupied by a certain Norwegian who happens to be the captain of our team. So
yeah,
I think it worked out well for him that he moved to you lot, and he's obviously going to benefit a great deal from getting more game time at the Tottenham Stadium, and certainly he fits the style of play that Ange wants to employ. So
exactly.
it's looking good for you, and all I can say is well done on getting him. If I were the manager and I would have signed him, certainly at the fee at which he was bought, I would say yes, please, with a cherry on top. But sadly, things worked out the way they did and transpired the way they did, and all we can do is just you know all we can do is just wonder what might have been, but be grateful, at least in theory, for what we have, which I have to say is not very much.
I mean, look, for our sake, we hope obviously James Madison is really going to be the sign that so far has been showing. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the Arsenal squad in general. You're looking at a very very strong team, potentially contending for the Premier League trophy. Um, Now. this is my obviously. I'm not bringing any biases in here. I'm just stating facts. Fact, in my opinion. Um, Quick one from Chelsea fan. Tottenham been so good so far. Yes, mate. Big up to Gio Rea as well, and big up to Chelsea fan. Obviously, make sure to subscribe. Now, this is my thoughts on Arsenal, and I want to get you into this debate. Hopefully, you disagree with me, so you can have a little bit of debate. Um, do you think you're gonna win? Do you think you're gonna do as well in the Premier League this season as you did last season? Now, that's the main question. I got a small answer, and we'll hear your answer as follows. Um, I believe that you will drop off just as slightly. I think coming third will be an insane, not insane, an amazing position due to the Champions League. You know, you're playing Champions League, you're playing 2 games a week, and you also your manager has somewhat messed about in a way and is playing Partey in the right back position. I'm gonna literally start it like that. I think when you overthink stuff, especially in big teams, let's not do any banter right now because it's fact. Arsenal are a big team, Tottenham are a big team, Chelsea are a big team. All the big teams. When you make small changes, you make a little bit of impact there, and it's not a negative, it's not a positive impact. Then there's going to be a lot of spotlight on you, and I think Arteta's getting the spotlight right now. What were your thoughts on the season? Are you guys going to progress to potentially win the Premier League, or do you see yourself dropping off a bit in the Premier League in order to succeed in a better Champions League campaign?
Um, First of all, no, we will not win the Premier League this season. I'll tell you why. Because we've been talking about transfers, and Rice has probably been, the best transfer given that he's played already. Urian Timber, the other guy we brought in, started the Community Shield and was our best player, but he got injured midway through the first game against Nottingham Forest and is now out for months and months on end with an ACL injury. And the other signing, who I do not want to name, has been absolutely diabolical so far. And even though it is early days, many of us are getting vibes about the Willian debacle, which took place a few seasons ago. So the only way we could say with confidence that we would, make a challenge for the league position, challenge for the league at least, try to go one better than second place, is to revamp the squad and make it better. We ended up selling quite a few players. We let Granit Xhaka go. And I actually would say that it was time to let him go because he, obviously he wanted a new challenge, but we had gotten what we could out of him. And I think his last season was probably his best season. That kind of says it all. We needed to move on from him in a way and try and, you could say refresh the entire outlook or the image of the squad, as it were. But we didn't earn too much money from those outgoings, and we spent quite a lot on the incomings. We spent about 200 million quid on 3 players and another 3 million to get Raya in on loan. And that was it. We didn't get anyone else. So unless if the club is serious about trying to go one better, they'd make a better fist of it in the transfer market. And given how much you paid for Maddison and how much West Ham paid for James Ward-Prowse, the fact that we paid much more than that, and so far haven't gotten the returns we wanted for the player who shall not be named, is galling for me personally. So unless we get our act together in January, we got no chance. And yet I remember that last year in January, we got, last season rather, I should say, we ended up getting Leandro Trossard from Brighton to come and play with us. And he did, he's done quite well, but he's somehow been frozen out, at least for now. And I just think with the way the squad is being, mismanaged by both the board and Arteta, we don't really have much chance of winning, and even progression will be a pipe dream. And what worries me is that, you know how there's a story of a little donkey who's caught between 2 bales of hay, how he, is effectively paralyzed or crippled by indecision about which bale of hay to eat because they're both so good. We could face a dilemma where we end up having to think about whether we should make a Champions League run or a Premier League run. In 2006, which is our last season at Highbury, I think our league form was really not so good, but we were doing brilliantly in Europe. So we decided to, make a fist of the Champions League campaign, and we did magnificently to reach the final. We beat Real Madrid at the Bernabeu on the way, and drew with them at Highbury to get that far. But against Barcelona in Paris, it was a step too far. But many of us are excited about the group stage, but I tell you, it's not going to be easy. And with the Premier League campaign also taking place, we will be under pressure to try and prove that our second place finish last season was no real fluke. So that's going to be the problem. And what angers me, of course, is that last year when we exited the Europa League, a lot of fans were saying, that's fine, we've got bigger fish to fry. And the problem was we couldn't even catch the fish effectively, much less fry it. So that's a big worry. And less said about Arteta's domestic cup record, the better. It's been abysmal ever since the FA Cup win. We haven't looked like retaining that FA Cup or even, winning it again. We certainly haven't looked like winning the League Cup. I think the best we did was reach the semi-finals in, I want to say it was 2022. That was, of course, Ramsdale's first season with us. But he was considered to be badly at fault for Liverpool's 2 goals as we lost that match 2-0 and ended up, So that's the thing. This particular season, we want to see success because he will have had 4 full seasons at the club, and he will have had a lot more backing than Unai Emery ever got. And if he doesn't win anything, then, we are going to ask loud questions as to whether or not he is the right man. And there's no doubt in my mind that if he doesn't win any major silverware, he certainly isn't the right man.
So coming to the season, I think most Arsenal fans are confident for the season. From a Tottenham point of view, I'm nervous to play you guys. I think you guys offer a unique perspective of the Premier League, which is a young top side, a similar side to Tottenham Hotspurs. I want to say 16-17 team when they just lost the title to Leicester. But nevertheless, this season though is going to be exciting. You see, we've got around 5, 6, 7 teams fighting for that top 4 spot. That's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. City, United, Arsenal, Tottenham, Liverpool, Chelsea, Newcastle. That's just 7 of them who are fighting for that top 4 space. Now, looking from a rival's point of view to Tottenham Hotspur, I think we're going to have from my point of view, I think we're going to have an unbelievable season. I think we got to humble ourselves though, because we are getting a lot of praise from the fans, such as Arsenal fans, United, Liverpool, Chelsea. But we need to remember that the season's a long season. We're only 4 games in. And I think there's 38 games in the league, which means there's 34 games left to be played. And we've got top teams to come up against. We've got Sheffield United next, then we got Arsenal, you guys, and then we have Liverpool. So coming from a rival's perspective, what kind of a season are you going to expect, or are you going to, or do you predict Tottenham Hotspur to have?
Well, here's the thing. When Antonio Conte left, and obviously Ryan Mason took over for the remaining games, I think there was a feeling that the season couldn't end quickly enough, and obviously there was going to be a massive clear out. Personally, I'm pleased that Ivan Perisic didn't leave, because I think he's been quality since he, came to Tottenham, and just binning him while keeping Kulusevski would have been a little bit harsh, but he is still there. But obviously the likes of Eric Dyer, Hugo Lloris, and others, they had to, I think they had to go, and they still do. And Romero, I think, went off the boil a little bit, but I think he seems to have calmed down. I think with Ange coming in, he's certainly a different breed of manager to Antonio Conte. But out and out Aussie, he can be a little bit strict, but he's also very straight and direct, and he's fair, which is what I gather. And you got yourself an excellent manager in him. And he obviously has got the players, listening to him and working for him and doing as well as they can for him, and it's paid off really well so far in terms of the results, especially. And I'm actually worried about you lot when you come to the Emirates to play, because some of the football that
Yeah.
you're playing right now, you mentioned how Madison could play the Ericsson role, and where he can,
Next month.
destroy our high line. And I think I told you when we played Leicester last season, he was actually one of he was in fact their best player.
Best.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and with him running the show, and the likes of Mickey Van der Ven and others, coming and gelling in, with Heung-min Son looking really rejuvenated and starting to score goals, I have cause to worry. And
Hmm.
I think it'll be interesting to see how Postecoglou sets up the team, especially when you lot come to our ground, and how you play going forward. Of course, you'll know, if it's any consolation, that you lot are Manchester City's bogey team. So you could definitely, hope for some points there. If not at the
Exactly.
City of Manchester Stadium, then definitely at the Tottenham Stadium. But I'd
100%.
like to see you guys, recover, because anything better than eighth will certainly be progress. It means that you should be able to get back into European football. It will take a bit of time, but once Postecoglou wins the confidence of the players and the fans and everyone involved, I think this season could be good. I predict maybe fifth or sixth, but if things do go really well, I wouldn't be surprised if you lot challenged for the Champions League later on in the season. So
I'm
yeah,
happy with it.
interesting.
I'm happy with either of them.
Yeah, so I think you know it should be a good season for you lot, and we'll see how it
Yep.
pans out.
Exactly, exactly. I think now all we got to do is basically wait for this horrible international break. I heard Manny say beforehand that he's more of an international uh person than a club person, but I'm more of a club person. I love my club. But Manny, listen, it's great getting you on the show. Where can people find you? Because obviously you've got amazing takes. I am a Tottenham fan, but I have to respect you on the fact that you have unbelievable takes on football in general. So where can people find you? And please, yeah, what's next to coming on your channel or your pages?
Well, I mean, I don't have a channel of my own, but you can catch me on several channels on YouTube. First of all, big up to you. Thank you for having me on. And I hope we will
No
get to
worries.
do some more shows like this. I've enjoyed this immensely. I will shout out the other Spurs fan channel where I go, Eugen Spurs Asia TV. Shout out to Lokman Yunus Eugen, who is, of course, based in Malaysia, which is, I want to say, a full 7 hours ahead of UK time in the summer, and
Yeah,
8 hours ahead
yes.
in the rest of the year. And
Hmm.
I go there as a neutral fan, an Arsenal fan who goes there respectfully, and I really, enjoy talking with fans of different clubs, and offering my perspective and listening to their perspectives on Arsenal and so forth. And that's the way footballing discussion should be. So thank you very much again. And elsewhere on YouTube, catch me on Del Boy Gunner TV, the Arsenal fan channel. We do call-in shows at the end of Arsenal's games, where we invite people on, mainly, of course, Arsenal fans, but other fans of other clubs are more than welcome to come on and offer a kind of neutral perspective, as long as they, watch the Arsenal game that day. And also catch me on Oris Talks Football, where I'm a co-host there. We've actually got a stream coming up tonight at 8 p.m. UK time. You will
Yep,
catch me there. I am there. And
we'll
big
be
up
there
as
too.
well to yeah, and you could big up as well to the Coach's Corner with Hanno Trollope. I also do a lot of co-hosting duties with him. We do some watch-alongs for both football and cricket, if you enjoy cricket. We have a cricket show called Off to the Boundary, and we've also done other football shows where we talk, team news and tactics and so forth. And just working with him is also really a great joy for me. And other fan channels, Tony Claude Gunner TV, Danny AC TV, those are Arsenal based. Huge shout out as well to Up the Cherries in All Departments, which is a Bournemouth fan channel. We do some work together on the cherry picking series, which normally streams on Thursday evenings, and
Hmm.
that's also a great deal of fun. And they have me there as a neutral fan who offers a different perspective and someone who brings a lot to their show. So you can catch me there whenever you can. Also, shout out to AFC Talk Show TV, Villa TV, Southern Gooner with Matt Odom. And I was also doing a special interview with Warren Bartholomew for Warren's Team Talk. You can catch the video on that channel coming up this Friday, where I talk about my life as a football fan. And I've been on another stream with him before, so big up to him. And there are several other fan channels at this moment, which I can't really name because they're not coming quickly to my mind. But I hop on different channels and have my say, and they're all quite important to me. And I sort of try and try to build a bit of a profile that way without, having my own channel per se. But if the situation permits and it feels good, I might do something. But until then, I always love coming on other streams and talking. And I always say, as I will say again, I always believe that it's important to learn to agree to disagree without being disagreeable. Otherwise, there's no point in having a discussion. So we need to keep it respectful. Don't engage in mindless banter, and also be respectful when the other person is speaking. Try not to interrupt as much. You weren't really interrupting me. You just wanted to get a question in, so I'm not mugging you off at all. And besides, this is your channel anyway, so you were just cutting in and asking questions to sort of augment everything, and that's perfectly fine. But I've been on streams, mate, with other people who just won't allow me to finish and just cut right in and just utter some random stuff which has no real relevance to what we're talking about. So that is what it is. I just try to be respectful to everyone, and I expect that courtesy in return. Big up to you once again, and big up to the people who joined in this chat. I will make sure that other people get to know about this, and to everyone who joins in the chat, you're the ones who will make this video and Spurs Live what they are. And until then, just enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy the sport taking place, the football taking place on the weekend, or some of the cricket action or tennis action that's going on throughout this week. And if you like other sports, be safe, be happy, and don't do anything that either of us would do. But for now, I bid you all adieu. And thank you.
Well, look, thank you very much, Fanny, for joining. Hopefully you all have a great day. Make sure to subscribe to both our socials. Make sure to subscribe to Spurs Live, trying to hit that 2K as fast as possible. Manny, once again, pleasure having you on. We are going to go on OS Talk Sport now, so if you guys do want to head over there, make sure to head over there. And
not right now. Not right now. It's not starting until 8 UK
right
time.
Now.
So listen, get
not right now.
Yeah. Exactly. So get some nosh inside you, have a rest, and that's what I'm going to do. But I will see you there, definitely.
I will see you guys there. Have a good one, and hopefully, we'll catch you. I can't even speak right now. We'll catch you guys very, very soon. I'm just trying to find an outro for a second. So we will catch you guys very, very soon. Obviously, this is going to be another episode. This is only episode 1 of Debate Derby. Have a good one and stay safe. Come on, Spurs.